Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing on this fantastic Tuesday morning? Welcome to the official Trade Talk channel, where I show you how I analyze charts or price for the high probable entries to help you guys become better traders. Today we're going to be discussing Bitcoin and a few other assets, a new chart that has basically been shown to me. And we're going to get into that right about now. Just give me a moment to finish up this over here. All right, let me make sure. All right, sounds good. Video's good, picture's good, everything's good. So, Bitcoin range bound again. That's okay. We're used to it. That's what Bitcoin does most of the time. Occasionally we get lucky and we get an expansion to the downside or to the upside. However you're positioned, doesn't really matter to us as we are traders. But last time we were in a range was up here. We had a nice little expansion to the downside, tested Q1, the quarter one of 2021's open, which is acting as support. So we have Q1 2021 open support. And it's been absolutely testing it perfectly. So basically what we do is once we calculate a level or we get into a higher time frame level, and then we start to form our daily candles inside of that level, then we just basically look at the dailies. But I wanted you to understand why we stopped there. Because basically we have took out all swing lows since December 2020. So we are trading, or we did trade down to levels that we haven't seen since, December 2020. So now we are finding a tad bit of support down here. So basically that chart that I threw on the thumbnail is this thing over here. What this chart is it shows you all the Nasdaq stocks that are above the 200-day moving average. And as you can see, none of them are. Right, basically all the stocks are trading below the 200-day exponent, or it doesn't say whether it's an exponential or a simple. We'll just assume it's a simple because it just says moving average. But one thing I want to bring to your attention is when you start to get down into these levels right here. I mean, every single sell-off that we've had since 2008 is on this chart. So this big monstrosity of a sell-off here, this is your 08 sell-off. So the rest of these have been, ever sell-off subsequent to that date. This is March 20, the pandemic levels. So although we are getting long in the tooth as far as looking for new short side setups where we are, I do believe that we do still have, potentially a little bit more downside, simply because the macro has not changed. Nothing has changed. The war is still going on over in Europe. The Fed is still looking to hike rates. I mean, literally everything is on the table. The one and only one thing that has changed is CPI is no longer trending to the upside. Now, we discussed this for quite a bit of time in the members only stream Sunday, but we're going to talk about it today as I don't leave anything behind for the regular subscribers of the channel. So basically, last Wednesday, we got a CPI print 8.3%. Now that was expected to be 8.1%, which was lower than our previous print, which was 8.5%. Every other month since last print has been trending to the upside, and some of those monthly prints were a good 0.5% higher than the last. So I mean, it was trending up in spectacular fashion, if you will. It wasn't just going up slightly; it was going up rather rapidly. And last print we got was lower than the previous month. So that's good. That means that, are we topping out on the CPI number? If we are topping out on the CPI number, if next print we get, what if it's lower than what we seen with the last one? Well, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to see a bounce. Now, does this mean that, we're looking for stocks to basically trade up to new all-time highs? No, not at all. But what that is it's very good news. It does mean that, I don't understand how, but so quickly after the Fed has changed its monetary policy, that there is a pretty good chance that we may see inflation topping out. Now, one data point isn't enough, and neither is two. You technically need 3 data points to show a trend. So we need 2 more months of CPI prints, and both of those prints need to be lower than the one that was previous to it. And if that becomes the thing, then I truly believe that these stocks, while they may not go back to all-time highs because there are still rate cuts on the table, it could start to lead to a lot of these assets finding near-term lows. So this chart right here shows us that we are in pretty extreme areas, not like the massive ones yet, but like I said, this sell-off to me looks very, very methodical. It's been easy to trade. It hasn't been excruciatingly volatile. It has been volatile, but not really insufferably, like untradeable. It's actually been one of the easiest downtrends I have ever seen in my trading career to, catch topside entries looking for downside continuation. So we are getting a little bit long in the tooth. The new CPI print came out and it was higher than expectations, but yet still lower than the previous month. And that is very, very important for us as traders, because that means that maybe we ain't looking for these, what did I just do? We ain't looking for, massive downside on Bitcoin or your risk assets right now. And being in a bigger, longer term level like this, which is, once again, Q1 of 2021's opening range, that is your lowest support since Bitcoin's been trading up at these levels. It has taken out all the swing lows. We have basically capitulated every swing low here. So I'm not exactly sure where Michael Saylor and Elon Musk's billion-dollar positions are, but I know when we're trading down in here, we're getting rather close to them. So that's going to act as a small-time support in itself. Couple that together with a CPI print that looks a little bit better than the rest of them have, and on top of that, everything is so extended beyond its 200 exponential or 200 simple moving averages. That is perfect for a near-term bounce. All right, so but this isn't anything new. That chart is new to me, but it specifically doesn't mean much to me because this is what we were looking for. We were looking for our target of 26K to get hit because that was an exact perfect measured move off of your main expansion or your main decline from the fresh all-time high. So leg 1, consolidation. Leg 2, perfect 2-to-1 target. Beautiful. Filled the gap. Well, we don't know if it's completely filled, but we did get in the gap, and we did get about a midpoint test. Beautiful. Downside targets hit. Not only am I taking profits off of that move, so are a lot of other people. So that in itself will cause a near-term bounce. If we go over here to the Glassnode chart and look at the accumulation trend score, one of my favorite tools, if you remember when I did Saturday's upload, I said finally we got this thing firing up a bit. These were the 3 days that I was looking at on the Saturday's upload. Today is Tuesday. We have a few more days of data. And as you can see, this thing is still firing up. So people are buying. They are buying on exchange. Now, we know that, what just transpired? There we go. We know that, bigger people like Michael Saylor and Elon, billionaires aren't buying and selling on exchange as to not fluctuate the price. So, but these people are buying on exchange. That's where this data comes from. It comes from exchanges. So we do have people buying at these lows. I do not, once again, let me repeat this. I do not believe this is the low. I believe this low will be liquidated. What we are going to watch, since we never know what's going to happen, we're going to watch the the CME chart, because we have a near-term gap that is unfilled back to the upside. Typically, the CME likes to go back and refill these gaps that it leaves. It doesn't always, because we just filled a gap that's basically been situated there since December the 21st of 2020. But we did finally get there, and this was the first time in Bitcoin's history on the CME chart that it traded in these prices. Because remember, when this thing was ripping to the upside, price just gapped up, and Bitcoin had never traded at these levels before. So by this thing gapping up to here and then ripping, that made this an opportunistic target, because price will typically go back and fill, especially untested or untraded in price. Now on the on the spot market, obviously there is trading that transpired from this high to this low, but on the CME chart there wasn't. And the CME chart, well, that's what most people are trading. Futures in America, or they're trading from this. So we got that test. That's our target. You can see you did get a nice pullback from that level. Although we haven't been able to get much going on this week, we are still looking for a slight bounce. Basically, the way we trade this is now we're watching for those daily levels to be tagged. You can see yesterday we tagged it almost perfectly. It did get a little bit front ran, so me and mine missed this. A lot of people in my community, we missed this trade. Basically had open order setting at the level, and it got front ran. So now you're seeing a slight little push off the level. It's not a big push, and since if you want to use a fib retracement tool looking for more downside here, you're just now getting to the 618 of this decline, right? It's not the entire daily range, but it is from the resistance to support. So you can look at that, but I do believe it will continue to go higher simply because we've tested. Now we're here again. Now we're going right back up to resistance. So it does look to me like, making higher lows, even though this is the hourly chart. These lows are still higher. Yes, we can get a nasty down move again, but currently what I see is I think we're going to go a little bit higher. But obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, right? It's just my opinion based on some data points that we have now. We know that everything was extended to the downside, so here we are, right? Finally did get down into oversold levels there, and if we go back to the weekly, we didn't quite get to oversold levels on Bitcoin, which gives me that conclusion that this wick low might not be the bear market low, but I do believe it will be the low for a while. All right, but there, as you can see with this, there is still room to go to the downside before you are considered oversold on the weekly. And if we look at the BLX index with this on the weekly time frame, let's go back over here to the weekly, pull it up right here and stretch out all of price. Let me pull this up real quick. You're going to basically see that here is all of price action on the BLX weekly time frame. Anytime you've been next to or inside of oversold regions, it has been a good place to look to be a buyer. We did get here once before in 09, didn't quite tag this oversold region, and that's basically where we are right now. So could that act as support? Maybe. I've seen people trade off the RSI like that, but it's not just that. There's a lot of things that said that this down move is getting a bit extended, tested to 200 exponential on the weekly closing basis. You did not test the 200 simple yet, which is another indication that yes, we could see lower prices. Typically, both of those levels get tested before price moves on and, puts cements in basically your bear market lows. All we have to go by is past price performance. Obviously, it's not indicative of future results, but it has typically been a good place to buy. So if you are buying Bitcoin on a spot exchange or, just buying spot to basically treat that as a savings account or whatever, and you're just putting in 20 or $100 a week or every 2 weeks or once a month, however, I think you're safe to go ahead and start putting on a little bit of risk here. Not a lot. You don't want to get over leveraged to the upside because I do believe we're going to see more downside, but I do not have a problem with anybody picking up some Bitcoins at this price. All right. So yeah, I mean, that's that. That's pretty much it. That's the long-term, near-term macro bias on Bitcoin as far as what we have right now. That gap is around, it starts at 35K on BTC1 or, the CME chart. So, well, it starts at 34,455. 35,180 will be fillage in the village. So we'll just keep that like that. All right, so that's basically our near-term upside target. All right, it's 34 for whatever I just said. My brain is not working. It is still entirely too early for me to be up. How is everybody doing this morning? Good mornings across the board. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your time. I know it is very precious. My friend Ray, why are the Qs and SPY pushing so? Yeah, same thing. They are going to be traded almost the same as Bitcoin is being traded as a risk on asset. You can see that my chart is muddled up here, but every single one of these lines, except for this one, are weekly levels. So we have a weekly support there. I mean, I'm not going to go over all of them for you, but you get the drift, right? You're got massive supports all over you and maybe a couple resistance levels, getting that bullish push today. So here's the thing. Is it possible that since we've liquidated this swing high right now, that this is good enough and this trend to the downside is going to continue? It is 100% possible. And if you want to try to take a short trade based solely on that, please understand that you're not taking it based off of any significant levels other than a liquidation spot. Because these wicks with our strategy or my strategy are targets. They're not areas to base trades off of unless you just think that it's going to be a liquidation only and then price is going to reject here. If that is the case, basically what you can do is you can drop you a little line right there, go into your intraday charts, either the 1 hour or 4 hour, and then what you want to see is a big engulfing candle. You want to see a big, massive bearish candle. Now that does not mean that your trade is going to work at that point. It just means that you are getting a bearish reaction there, which could lead to more downside price action. But as of right now, I mean, you basically liquidated that last hour and you're pushing up again. It typically doesn't mean liquidation. Typically that means continuation. But even if you get a pullback here, I think you're going to find support because of what I've said. These things need to trade up a little bit. So we're looking for sideways to a slight up drift till we find a major level of resistance, preferably to get at least up to the 21 exponential on the daily time frame. You can see that you got some ways to go on the SPX 500. All right, so yeah, it's up here. There is an old daily support level up in there, and that will put you right at about the same region. Well, not really, because you do have these swing lows right here. So Bitcoin did get a little bit lower, but you get the drift, right? But I don't like, if we get up here, I need to see at least 4 or 5 days of stalling happening before I'm looking to just throw on more risk to the downside. You can see here that when we were pushing down originally, we found this zone right here, and we bounced in and out of it for multiple days until resistance was found, and that came off the back of the FOMC meeting. That was your perfect selling opportunity to capitalize on the rest of the down move. This is where we took our short trades, and that was a phenomenal place to get short. So we're looking for something similar. We're looking for it to trade up into a level, consolidate for a few days, then start to show us whether or not it wants to pursue this weakness, and then maybe come back down and liquidate the swing low, or does it want to trade sideways to up even from there based on one good CPI print? It's all possible, guys. CPI is a very, very important tool, and we got good print on the last one. All right, that was good. It missed as far as expectations are concerned, but you've seen that selling take place on that day based on that miss. And now here we are. Once again, I spoke about this earlier on Sunday. Let's just go, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's not use Tesla as an example. Well, yeah, we can use Tesla as an example. So this was the day we got the print. Then after that, we found a bottom and we got a bounce. Now, yesterday, Tesla did experience another down day. However, you are into a region that we like to call demand on the daily. Now, you did close below it, so you're not jumping the gun to go ahead and get long 1 trillion X on Tesla because he said it's at support. You closed below it, so that could indicate that it wants to come on down and test the open, but we'll see how this thing opens. It is into an area where we could potentially see another pop to the upside. Now, I typically do not take these kind of trades. I like to stay on the side of the trend. So basically all I'm doing right now on Bitcoin and a lot of these risk assets, except for the ones that I am adding to my portfolio, is waiting for that resistance test to get short, as that's the trade. You're supposed to take the trade in the direction of the trend. Buying bottoms thinking that it's going to reverse is a terrible, trading strategy. Will you get lucky and nail a few bottoms in your career? Absolutely. Will they look sexy? Absolutely. Will you be able to be consistently profitable doing that? Hell no. Hell no. You won't even come close, because all the times you think it's going to be a low, trends tend to keep going. So we know that there's massive downside. We know that basically the macro hasn't changed any at all other than that CPI print. Now there's another asset as far as that you can watch today, and that is Apple. Yes, it looks disgusting, I know. But if we go into an intraday chart, you're going to see what I'm looking at here. Let me get rid of those just moving averages. I only look at those on a daily time frame or higher. You can see that we are chopping back and forth in a range. We did find a near-term low. So basically, this market hasn't opened yet, or pre-market trading hasn't happened yet. So right now, we're setting at an old hourly supply zone or demand zone potentially. We got 144.43 as a near-term bottom or support. You close an hourly below that, then you're probably going down to 142.55. If this area holds a support, I think you can get another test of 147 easily. I think you can get that, and especially since the SPX is cooking with grease today. In other words, it's going higher. SPX is up almost 2% right now, so it's getting some steam going. So I wouldn't doubt it if the trade on Apple was yesterday before the market closed. Let me go back and see. I mean, I don't think it gave you an opportunity during market hours. Yeah, it did. I mean, technically, you did get a close above a daily level. I think this is a daily level. We can go back out to the daily and look. I don't know what that is. That's an old level. Let's get rid of it. Oh, maybe it was a weekly. Yeah, it was a weekly. That's what it was. It was sitting right there. All right, so you got an old weekly level there. So we'll see what happens. Last week closed above it. This week opened right at it. So it does look like it is acting like it wants to stay here. So this white line of no name is your weekly. There's that old weekly level. Price is dilly-dallying around it. So we'll see what happens. But with the SPX moving up pretty dramatically pre-market, we're going to see if this gaps up. And if it does, like I said, I got targets of 147.92, 150.62. That's a couple dollars on that one. And that's basically it. Let's go to the FX charts. Excuse me. Let's go look at currency feuds first. Here's your Swiss franc getting a small near-term bounce. This thing has been getting slaughtered. So typically, your Swiss franc and Japanese yen currency pairs are flights to safety. We've seen it basically during most every sell-off, that when the markets are finding, difficulties, and then they roll over and start making lower highs and lower lows, the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc currency indexes usually catch a bid. But they've done the exact opposite of that, and it has been brutal. Now, the downside on the yen has been blamed on Japanese monetary policy, but the Swiss franc has been identically sold off. So that would have to entail that its monetary policy is exactly the same as the BOJ, and it's not. So what does this tell us? Stagflation is here, is what it tells us. We are seeing stagflation. These should have seen bullish bounces in this decline. We're not seeing that. We're seeing the exact opposite. Brutal selling of both of those indexes. Massive downside on both. So now, when that happens, there's really not, that tells me that there's not really a flight to safety. I'm sure there are a few things that are ripping to the upside, but typically when you don't see your flight to safety assets ripping to the upside, that typically means that a lot of people are standing by with cash. A lot of people are just standing by with cash. They need to implement that capital somewhere to generate alpha. They can't just sit on it, especially with inflation. That capital will turn into nothing, so they need to put it into something, and I'm assuming they're just sitting by and waiting. Like I said, there are a couple assets ripping, one being the dollar, but basically the rest of them are getting beat up. So this looks like where everybody put their money for now. So we'll see if this trend wants to continue or if it wants to pull back for a while. It has been ripping for multiple weeks, steady. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight bullish weeks. You had 5 straight bullish weeks before then. Then you had 2 bearish weeks in the midst of 4-week session. Boom, straight up. So I don't think that we're going to see this much volatility continue. If you look at this and then you look at the yen and Swiss franc assets, you're going to see there is a similarity in that viciousness. Massive downside there on the yen, massive downside there on that, and then massive upside on the DXY. So we know where most of the money went. Now we just have to figure out where is it going to go next. Euro USD, not really a whole lot to do on this thing today. Still not. You're coming into an area of resistance. I don't know if it's going to hold as resistance, but I know I don't want to take a short here. That is way too close. And since it's been ripping to the downside, I mean, one can only assume that it's probably going to turn around and go up a little while. We were looking at potential shorts on pound yen yesterday for day trade only. Obviously, that did not work. We did not get brutalized on this market violence here, but it didn't work out. We were watching this level right here, but that was our signal to basically leave this thing be. Anytime you're closing above the level you're looking for the rejection, that typically lets you understand that you're probably wrong. That's why we wait for closes, especially if we're trading inside of the level, because this thing could have just ran on up and closed above the resistance level. That would have told you real quick that you were wrong. Notice here, nice little test last night during the Asian Open, poof, straight up. All right, so yeah, a lot of these things are cooking. This could have something to do with the pound catching a little bit of a bid this morning, up over 1% on the day. Fantastic. I know we were looking for, what was it, UK unemployment. There was a few, let me see here. We were looking for CAD core inflation, UK core inflation, UK unemployment, and employment data out of Aussie. So that's what we were looking for as far as high-risk news events. I don't know if anything happened last night. I mean, pound typically happens at 7 in the morning, so that could be why we're seeing this big pop. There could be news this morning. Be careful if you're trading pound, CAD, or Aussie. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. There's no beautiful setups. This thing is up almost 1%. I mean, we're seeing volatilities like this across the board. 1.06% on Aussie yen. Typical moves on this thing is anywhere from 0.30 to 0.50. That's your typical move. So we're seeing ranges double of what we're usually seeing. So the volatility is still here. Don't let Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin's been trading sideways for a few days, fool you. This thing can get some steam really, really quick. Massive move to the downside. We could see a massive move to the upside. Remember, we have 34K bullish target. So be careful if you are looking for shorts on Bitcoin. 35 is where I will start to get interested on shorts. Not here. Not here. It's too low. Is it possible that it finds resistance and rolls over? 100%, absolutely. But it's just not a good enough risk to reward, in my opinion, to look to jump on it, right? I would like it up a little bit higher. If we blast right through that level, then obviously I will not be looking for shorts, all right? Because since I'm a trader, I don't care to trade this up or down. I hold long Bitcoin spot always. So when I am trading it, I'm trading it on an inverse swap contract for any of you new guys that have subscribed over the last several days. We are trading this on an inverse swap contract that allows us to trade with Bitcoin to make more Bitcoin. So essentially you could look at it as I am as long as you can get. I am holding spot Bitcoin long and I am selling call options essentially. So that's basically what I am doing by trading the inverse swap contract. So yeah, I can switch from be bearish today and bullish tomorrow. I am a day trader, and that's what we're doing. Right now, there's going to be daily resistance. It was this. I guess you could probably still look at that as daily resistance, since this did end up being a bull trap. Only a bull trap in the sense that you took out this day's low after closing above resistance. That typically does infer that you're going to see more downside, but if it occurs at the top of a range, not when it occurs at the bottom of the range. When it occurs at the bottom of the range, we chop it up to chappiness or chalk it up to choppiness. So we're not looking at this as a very good sell signal. However, if you are just that bearish and you need to take a short position, I would watch $31,000. It is a big fig number, and you have a daily resistance right there at $31,002. So watch that level. Any rejections there could bring upon some more downside. I think your short trade was Sunday night right there. Boom. That was taking profits time. So now we're going to be bouncing back and forth in these ranges. All right. If you are looking to trade the range, then that's the level to watch. $31,002. So good morning to everybody. I love it when you talk dirty, bro. Good morning, Ray. Guten Morgen, fam. Good morning, Ajith. Good morning, everybody. Do you think Bitcoin's retraced to 50K-ish is possible? No, not anytime soon. To get up to 50K, man, you're gonna have to take out the yearly high. All right, that's where our first short. Once we started this consolidation and we put in this fake out move to make a fresh yearly high, then we traded off. We put in this move that was lower. When we got over in here, we were targeting the yearly high to liquidate these two swing highs. Plus, it's the yearly open. It's a big, big level. So if you were looking to take a short on Bitcoin, where do you want to do it? At the top of the yearly range, fantastic entry, fantastic trading. That's the way we do it. And that was the best trade on the year. All right? It was the best trade on the year. Here's your yearly open. There's your short position. Straight down, it was. So it wasn't just me looking for that. It was a lot of other people. We did short up in here. Then we shorted down here. We shorted once over here, but that got stopped out quickly right there on that spike. Yeah. So 50K, no, not anytime soon. Here's 50K. I tell you what, if you do get to 50K, I'll get bullish right quick and in a hurry. Simply put, especially if it happens this year. I don't think you're going to see 50K this year. I think this is your high on the year. I think this is your all-time high for a couple years, right? I think you're going to see a lot of sideways, choppy, up and down, grinding people's brains to their very limits before you get that, and then that, right? A lot of the same happened over here on this market cycle when you had your bullish rip to the upside, then you had your bear market phase. It just traded sideways. And I mean, through this section of price, guys, this was some of the most boring trading I had ever seen on Bitcoin, ever. I mean, these daily ranges are literally non-existent. Just choppy sideways, difficult to trade, taking out resistance, taking out support levels. I mean, it was brutal trading. I think you're in store for more of that. I do. But, you know, that CPI turning around could be very good news. And if it does turn around and we start consistently heading lower on it month over month over month, you're going to see this thing probably get close. You know what I mean? But that's all going to be based on what inflation is doing. And what the Fed does. I don't see the Fed stopping what they're doing. I think they're already in motion. They're in full swing. I think they're going to stick to their plan, especially if they're looking at near-term data, CPI print, coming in lower. That's good news for them. So that tells them that their plan is working. So they may, go full steam ahead, and they may get a little bit too rambunctious with it. And if that's the case, then the markets will probably go. That's probably when you will get that final stab lower, or that capitulation move. A lot of people are asking me if this is that capitulation move. And to be honest with you, I don't know. There's no way for me to know that. It's virtually impossible to know. What I do know is that we set in a 3-month consolidation, and we were looking for a breakdown, and we got it. That's what I know. Do I think that's the capitulation? No. I don't physically believe it is, just because that's my opinion. Because capitulation events usually are brutal. I mean, this was a 50% drop. It don't look that big compared to what we're seeing where we are, but that's just because Bitcoin's trading at such crazy expensive levels, right? But trust me when I say this, when this day happened right there, that broke a lot of people's hearts. Just that one day. And then as you can see, you got damn near 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks of just straight down, hard price action. That's a 50% decline from there to there. A 50% decline from where we currently are is going to be brutal. Just this from all-time high to here is 50%. So put that into perspective. Now this is a log chart, so 50% will look like half of that if I go lower, but 50% from here, well, let's just go 50% from where I'm looking for a resistance. Let's just see what it does, just for shits and giggles. 50% puts you around 17K. So I don't know if you're gonna get that. I do not, right? The 4-year market cycles, all the bear markets have had at least 80% drawdowns in the past, but it's different. Bitcoin's getting a lot more exposure, a lot more people are invested in it. Things are different, right? Elon Musk and Michael Saylor could essentially be propping this market up all by themselves. That's a lot of money. You're looking at what, $7-8 billion, something like that. I think Michael Saylor's into this thing for $5 billion. I mean, I don't know. I think that's the last I heard. Elon Musk is in it for what, $2-3 billion? It's a lot of billions. A lot of billions. And they bought it at high prices. I think Elon Musk bought on like 30 something, 31. Michael Saylor was what, 27, 28? So I mean, they're feeling it. You know what I mean? They're feeling it right now. Michael Saylor's stock is off 90, or was off 90%. You know he's feeling it. So these, buy only, long-term only, macro up, only up, laser eyes, acting like he's not stressing at all. I guarantee you he is catching heat from his board of directors. Nobody likes to see their stock prices fall 30%, let alone 90%. Now, is this a good time to buy MicroStrategy? I think 90% is as cheap as you're ever going to see it. Ever. In my opinion. This asset doesn't only always go up, but it's done okay, I guess. It's done okay since it was trading with Bitcoin. Now that Bitcoin's coming off a bit, it's suffering. It's a tech stock, so tech plays got destroyed. It hasn't hit any earnings in a very long time. So actually, you know what? I don't even think it is a good asset to buy. Not right now. Not till they start making money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 quarters in a row. Not counting this one. They have not met their earnings expectations. That's terrible. And how could you not meet earnings expectations when you own Bitcoin and it's doing nothing but going straight to the moon? Don't ask me. But it was off as low as almost 90% there. So picking up some at $133, somebody got lucky, I'm sure. Even if it does continue to go lower, I don't think it's going to go much lower. Right? Maybe if we do get that final capitulation, that stab lower, maybe then look to be buyers on some of these. But I am starting to add on a little bit, not buying a lot. I'm just buying a little bit simply because of that CPI print. That's big news, in my opinion. That's really big news. If the trend continues next month, then it won't be big news, and every bounce, every bit of price action that happens from here to then will probably be sold off in the span of a day. So be careful out there. Make sure you mind your risk. Always mind your risk. That's the key to this thing, guys. Making sure you know what you're losing each time you enter the market with risk. Say it, damn it. Say what? Can you have a look at Euro USD? I need to buy some USDC from Euro and keep for a week to move things about. Don't worry, buy into resist, sell into support. Don't want to buy into resist, sell into support. That's a good thing to go buy. Yeah, we'll go look at it real quick. We did look at it briefly, but we didn't really go in depth. So up there, 113,757, that's your yearly opening range. You're definitely bearish on the year. You are coming into an area of resistance. So not wanting to buy into resistance, I would suggest that you don't buy here. Let's go see where you could potentially buy. All right, so maybe the old weekly level, that's all the way over here. Look at this. Like, that's massive swing lows. 2017 swing low close. There's your bearish close there. Boom. That is that level. So watch that level or the new weekly open for potential long opportunities. Now, with that being said, please understand that you are buying the bottom. And I have no clue if it's going to turn around or not. It is extended to the downside. So I think maybe you could see a little bit more up, but you've been up for 3 days in a row. So wait for maybe a big bearish day to look to buy. 1.04121 would be the lowest region I would look to do that. If you get a daily close below that, then I'd say you're probably going to go lower. Yeah. So watch this one is my favorite level right there. That's the weekly open. I don't know that you get back down there, but you can watch it. And then obviously that's going to be resistance until you get above it. That's resistance until you get above it. Next area of resistance is 105.614. Now, if you get above this swing high right here, you got room to go all the way back up to 107.7. But we're here, so you have to trade it as what you got, and what you got is this. So I wouldn't be looking to be a buyer into that. Damn, no way in hell, because you got multiple days right here testing this area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days at 104.991. So I think you'll probably see a little bit of a retracement once you get up into this. Maybe you get a spike above it, close below it today. Tomorrow you get a bearish day, boom, up. If this is going to change. What I would have wanted to see for like maybe even a slight chance of this thing turning around would have been a weekly engulfing. It is just Tuesday, and it is possible that you do get that by the end of the week. But weekly engulfings or bullish engulfings on downtrends are not a very good signal. Case in point, right here. Big weekly candle. It wasn't quite an engulfing. You didn't take out that swing low, but that was sold into. Boof. Straight down. So, take it for what it is. You're trying to buy the bottom. That's exactly what you're doing. So if you wanted to clean it up, make it a little bit easier, I would keep that level on there, and then I would watch this. And then if you get above that, this. There you go. That gives you some room to play with on the daily. Not much here, but if you get above that, yeah, you got some room to go. Hopefully that helps. Definitely wouldn't want to sell it here either. It's just, I don't know. It's just a little bit extended. A lot of these things are massively extended. That's why we've been sitting on the damn sidelines, because it's just straight down. All of them. You're coming into that resistance on the pound right now. Already in it, so probably going to see the euro get in it. Not a whole lot to do right now. Good morning, Old Rope 63. How you doing, my friend Ben? I have seen people whose opinions I respect saying that shorting Bitcoin is selling out our children's future. That's freaking brutal, man. Saying it's not moral to short Bitcoin. How freaking dare you short my favorite asset? What do I think about that? I think those people are concerningly crazy, I guess would be a nice way to put it. It's a freaking asset, dude. It's a monetary asset, right? It's an investment vehicle. When you feel that strongly about it, that you're willing to hang someone that shorted Bitcoin, you probably should take a vacation, get away from the markets. I'll short it, and if they don't like it, tell them to come talk to me. I'll have a conversation with them. I would love to have a live stream conversation with a Bitcoin maximalist. Love for him to tell me that I'm killing his children's future. I'm not doing it. The government is. You can't get mad at me for making money on the way down. I'm a trader. That's what I do. And besides, he's my competition. So I really don't care about his feelings anyways. But yeah, stay away from people like that, Ben. They're psycho. I mean, Bitcoin is a risk-on asset. It was invented to be a risk-off asset or a pledge a hedge against inflation simply because it has a fixed supply. That's the only thing that makes it a hedge against inflation, is the fixed supply and the halving. It's still being traded as a risk-on asset. I do think Bitcoin will be more expensive in the future. I do not think Bitcoin is the utopian whatever, we're all going to be living in milk and honey. Do you honestly believe that Bitcoin is going to be the vehicle that makes everybody rich? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. I like it. I'm long, but I am shorting it on the inverse swap contract. I will short the snot out of it. If it wants to go to zero, I will ride it all the way down there. I have no feelings about it because I am a trader, and bringing my feelings into this isn't going to help me make money. I suggest you stay away from those people, man. It's funny. It's comical. Oh, yeah. Do you think that Dr. Copper is giving a bullish signal? I don't know what Copper's ticker is. I think it's just Copper, right? Copper Futures. Giving a bullish signal. If you're talking about this, I don't even know if you're talking about this. I don't know what Dr. Copper is. I'm assuming it is Copper. A bullish signal. If it gets back above the 50 on the weekly, maybe. You're probably hitting oversold regions on the daily. You are. You're oversold, but that's not a bullish signal. Typically, oversold can remain oversold for a long time. If you go down and make new lows now, you're going to have divergence. Then I would start thinking about maybe looking for bullish entries. But right now, no. Right now, this is a dead cat bounce. Now, let's be honest. The last several weeks of the last couple of days of downside you've had, they have not been brutal. They have essentially been sideways. You've essentially went nowhere. So maybe it is slightly a bullish signal. There's really nothing to watch. Let's go into the 8 hour. Yeah, all right. So there you go. This is what I would watch. I would watch that, or even this, for instance. Simply because that's your old supply zone. That would have been a good area to look for shorts. It blasted through. So look for it to come back and retest that level. 756 or 756.70. This is an 8 hour time frame. So you're going to be wanting to watch 8 hour closes. 8 hour closes. Why the 8 hour time frame? Well, there's 3 opens in the day. You got your Asian, London, and New York sessions. There's 3 8 hour candles in a daily period. So the 8 hour candles are good to look at. I do look at them. Since there is nothing on the daily, no good levels for me to give you on the daily or the weekly, other than the weekly open or the weekly last week's close or last week's open. You're going to have 3 levels right there that you could watch for potential support. It's going to muddle it up pretty good, though, because you got a whole lot of choppiness happening. So, if you're looking to buy copper, you want to see one of these 3 levels hold. I would just go to the 8 hour and make things a lot simpler. Just watch this level, because if you drop that, then you're probably going down to test the weekly open. And then, you'll have to wait on a weekly close to decide if it's good enough to maybe potentially look for bullish entries again next week. But I wouldn't buy it now, not after you've been burning straight up for 3 days, right? I wouldn't do it now. Wait for the pullback. Wait for a retest of something, right? Midpoint of this bullish breakout candle would be okay even. 754.70-ish, somewhere in there. Daily close below, leave it alone. Okay, yeah, that was that. It gapped up today, 751 currently. What are you talking about, Ray? Tesla. Okay. I guess I would have to open up Thinkorswim to see what it's doing now. Yeah, the SPX is up. So, yeah. The SPX is up. So, I'm looking for Apple higher. I'm looking for Tesla higher. It is gapping up slightly. Well, it doesn't show me 751, but you're probably looking at Thinkorswim. The Thinkorswim charts are probably cruising right now. Yeah. 728's a decent level to watch. That's going to be daily demand. And where would my targets be? 755 would be a decent target. 756 would be a decent target. There's just nothing on the daily or higher time frames that I like, but this big hourly bullish rip right there, I do like that. You're back under it, so take profits there if it keeps going higher. But you know, like I said, would you say you were 751. Oh, that's already way up in here. Never mind, you're already at targets. See if you get a 5-minute push lower, like back down to 728. Something like that. A 5-minute push lower from the gap up. Maybe it finds support. You can watch 736 and you can also watch whatever this candle is, 742. Because you're gapping up to 751. So pull back down into that and then bounce. Everything looks bullish. SPX is up. So we're only looking for bullish trades on these stocks today. We're not looking for long-term hodls and we're not looking to get rich. We're looking for a trade, a target. But when it opens, we'll get that, right? When I have actual price action to look at. Target 751, 780 will be a good target. If we get a pullback down to here, that would be like top end target. It's close to taking out yesterday's high. Remember, you want to take profits at resistance, not at the high. Take profits at the resistance next to yesterday's high or the previous day's high, 3 days ago's high. Whenever that was is high. This swing high right there would be the target for the bullish move. So I'd be ripping profits off at 779.26. If it gives us an entry, we're going to need an entry. So we'll see here. 751 you said. So yeah, boom, boom. That looks good to me. This thing can rip a lot bigger. We know that. A lot faster. Just be very careful. Make sure you're managing your downside risk. Apple at 148.72. Damn, Apple's already up there. Yeah, makes sense. SPX is up. It makes sense. MKR, MTL, and DOT, please. Let me see if there's anything else after that. There isn't, because I'll be having to wrap it up shortly. So, Maker. Let's go look at Maker. All right, go to the daily here. Get off of the intraday chart. See what we got. Got a nasty spike on the KuCoin exchange. I don't know if that's on every exchange, but definitely got that. Where are we year to date? Bearish on the year. Damn, that spike almost hit yearly. So it looks bullish right now. Yeah, I mean, you got to test the year 21 and you're getting a bullish expansion. So, I mean, could it get sold off any minute now and drop right back under the 21? Yeah, things are a little bit unsure or unclear on it. You definitely need a pullback. There's no way in hell I would buy it where it is currently. But if we were to get a pullback, say to here, I would be wanting to see that act as support on the intraday chart. But it does look good. It does look like it is strong. Let's go inside of the day, see what we got. I mean, that'd be a deep ass correction too, man. Where's your daily open? Right there. So this is your open of the day. Wait, yeah, there it is. So you basically just boom, straight up. You don't even have a downside wick hardly. Let's just get today's range. See here what we got. This damn mouse keeps getting stuck on my monitor. If you did get a spike down to 16, 17, I would want to see that spike get bought up. Because if you close below hourly support right here, then it's you could get all the way down to 115.73. There's no good risk to reward setup on this asset, not for today. You're at the highs a day. I mean, I guess if you think it's going to keep cooking on, then right there is where you don't want to see a close below. Because if you do get that closure below, the next area is here. You could drop all the way to there. Now you do have an old support there that was tested multiple times. So, but I mean, it's so damn close to that. If you get down there, you're probably going to throw a wick down to 1573 anyway. And that does keep you above the daily open. So, I mean, I would not, I don't know. I just don't see a setup on it today. Maybe in the future, maybe in the next couple of days, maybe. But not right now. I don't see nothing on it right now. Metal. So I don't know what this is, but it's trading above daily resistance. So nothing to do on it today. You guys need to start focusing your efforts on buying pullbacks, not buying bullish candles. I know it's just what everybody does. Everybody gets FOMO on these things, but this could be a short. I don't think it will, because you're up above that already. And if it was going to be a short, you would typically want to see it bing and then lower. In fact, this was probably the short playing out here. Now you're getting a rip up. So the next area to watch for support is going to be 135. And it's got to be on a daily closing basis. So, I mean, you might play around it with some hourly candles, but there's just not a daily setup. You've already got the move. Down here was the time to buy. Here's your intraday support right there. I mean, it plays itself, right? That's how we trade. We buy off support on intraday ranges. We don't just randomly buy places. We have a strategy. There's nothing to do on this right now. Maybe watch 130, 135. That's going to be daily demand. But you could test all the way down to the midpoint of this bullish break. This asset does not have no liquidity in it at all. When you're gapping around on each hourly close, it's pathetic. Be very, very careful. You can get nightmare spikes and right out in the middle of nowhere on things like this. You haven't lately, so that's a good sign. Open interest is real low on Bitcoin right now, so I mean, I'm not expecting anything massive. Put the call ratios going up. Put the call ratios going up on Bitcoin, so people are trying to sell the resistance. Whatever Bitcoin does, I'd say a lot of these things are going to do. We did get a small uptick on open interest the other day, but nothing major. When we start getting in low levels like this, or not low, let's make no mistake, $11 billion is not a low open interest. It's just lower than it was. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Be careful. I think Bitcoin's going to go higher, so I think a lot of these things are going to follow it. But, you know, you gotta get the entry. Like, we'll go discuss what Bitcoin's entry was. Bitcoin's entry was last night. Well, I don't want to look at it on Binance. I want to look at it on a KuCoin. I mean, it's the same almost, but... So DOT's coming into supply. Right there. Does it get over it? Probably. If Bitcoin range expands to the upside, you're probably going to see DOT get above that. Like I said, I don't think we're looking for shorts right now. They're too extended to the downside. So a lot of these things are going to be fake out moves. But I definitely can't take it into resistance. If it pulls back and gives us a good risk to reward to target resistance, then maybe. But as long as you're trading at resistance, there's no trade. There is no trade. So here was the trade on Bitcoin yesterday. Here was the short on Bitcoin the day before. Simply because that's daily resistance and support. Well, down here is Q1 support of 2021. So that's where you look to buy, right? That's what I told everybody. Basically, watch this price. That's where you're looking to be a buyer, not really looking to be a seller here because of this massive move lower. We are looking for 34, 35K for shorts, not here. So if anything, I would be more of a buyer down here than a seller right here, if that makes sense. I hate trading that way because it's in a down market. This is a down trend. You're bearish on the year. No matter how you look at Bitcoin, it is bearish. But when you get very far extensions away from your 21 especially, I mean, this thing was very far away from the 21. You got to expect a return, a reversion trade, a return to the mean, a bounce. Timing those bounces is difficult, and I don't like buying off support in a down market. But with that being said, you have a pretty extended asset on your hands. Pretty extended asset. You're getting out of oversold regions. So the only two places to make a trade is either here or here. That's it. In the middle, you're no man's land, essentially. But that's on Bitcoin. I just don't see nothing else. Everything's trading at high a day. Euro Swissy isn't. Oh, yeah, it is. It's just not moving as much, but it's at high of day. Like literally everything's either at the low of day or at the high of day. That means there just isn't an opportunity. Coming into resistance on pound dollar, Mana, SPX, high of day. There's that retracement right there. I just still don't know if I'd like to take that short. I mean, can a liquidation event take a couple hours to play out? Yeah, it can. So what I'd be looking for is if you get a nasty bearish, like a nasty candle, like say back down to 40.50, then maybe I would watch resistance again for a retest to take a chance then. But I definitely wouldn't short what I see now. Absolutely now. Big news, JPY still sucks. It damn sure does. All right, guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up. MicroStrategy earnings is misleading because of how BTC is accounted for in their books. Yeah, I understand that. I do. That's why it's off 90% is because they have so much Bitcoin on their books. Exactly the reason. And the fact that they haven't been making any money lately. So, yeah, just be very careful, you guys. Yo, Heath, DXY, dump. Is it dumping? Yeah, it's been dumping. It's been dumping all day. You're down almost 1%. So, I mean, there's nothing to do now. Do not try to get short now, please. Please, please, please. You got to wait for trade setups. If there isn't a trade, there isn't a trade. It sucks. I understand that, but that's life. That's how you reach consistency and profitability. This would have been a decent trade up at the high of day or last night maybe into resistance. I still wouldn't have taken that because at that point you're extended on that day. So, I mean, you got to wait for these levels to be close to either their opens or their closes, or you're just shooting blanks. You're just throwing darts at a dartboard hoping something sticks. And that's not the best strategy to have. We are expecting a slight pullback on dollar. It's getting it. It's fantastic. Here is the weekly low, so you'll probably get a bounce after that. A slight bounce. I'm not talking about, back to the highs, but we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see where Euro is into its weekly. Euro's got room to go. That's a weekly there. So if we get a pullback around 9 o'clock on the Euro, which no, I won't. It's already massively extended. We'll find the trade if there is one to have. USD JPY. Pound yen. Let's look at FinViz real quick. I mean, this thing can change. Please understand that. FinViz, it's a strength currency meter or whatnot. It could definitely change. It will change as these things move. Oh, shut up. So, yeah, JPY is the weakest on the day. Dollar's pulling back. So that's why this isn't falling. If the dollar starts, or if the yen starts to get strong, this will be my favorite trade, and it will be a short because dollar is pulling back. But here's the thing. If dollar finds support at that weekly swing low, then this is going to rip. Just a slight bounce on the DXY will cause this to rip. It's the weakest on the day. So that's basically all we need right now is for the dollar to get a bounce. And then this could be a good trade. See how you're close to being 0, 0, 0? Those are the areas we look for because then that gives us a target. we have one of two targets right off the rip. We have the daily high, we have the daily low. So then we go into the intraday charts and we see which one of those do we want to attack. Here's your daily high, there's your daily low. Right now, this is the what? That's daily res. Back into the hour charts. Just right now on purely a risk to reward basis, there's more room to the downside. With dollar weakness, yen weakness, yeah, I'd probably be looking to short resistance, if anything, on this. There's just more room to go. There's not much risk to reward up, so the risk to reward be down. I mean, because that's your previous day's high there. So I mean that has to be your target. That would be your bullish target. This is your bearish target. There's more room to the downside. We know that DXY is pulling back. So I will probably keep an eye on USD JPY today for a potential short, simply because if the yen finds resistance, let's see here. Let's see if we're going to find support. Yeah, the yen starts to rip, which the dollar's already coming off. This is at support. Yeah, you're at daily support on the yen. All right, so we know yen's at daily support. We're going to keep an eye on USD JPY. It's the only thing I see. It's the only thing I've seen today. We're going to look for a resistance test to get short. If we get a test of that. That freaking wick sucks. That really screws up our risk to reward. Man, that sucks. It's still 3-1. It's still 3-1. But you can't use that. You'd have to use support. So that makes it a little bit less attractive. We'll keep an eye on it. There's nothing that says it has to come back to resistance, but that's the level I'll be watching. I will not take a short if it does not test that level, and I will not take a short if it does not fail there. All right, so don't just take the short on Japanese yen, USD JPY right now because I think it's going to go lower, because I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Watch this level, 129.396. That's the level to watch. If you get a test of that, you want to see hourly closures below. If you do get an hourly close above it, it has to be before 9 o'clock. If you get an hourly close that needs to be like 8 o'clock, that hourly can close above. We want to see that 9 o'clock candle come in with some bearishness. If we do see that, then we could still potentially take the short there. Target is going to be either support at 128.9046 or even demand at 129.016. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. If you got any specific questions that I didn't answer, please make sure you drop them down in the comments section below, as I do try to answer every single question. Make sure you guys have I think I said that already. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.